The man in the reflection stared back with cold, unfamiliar eyes, as if he were a stranger wearing Michael's skin. His face, etched with the lines of a decade lived, held a stoic expression, but beneath the surface, a storm of confusion brewed. A shiver ran down Michael's spine, the cold air in the bathroom suddenly feeling much heavier, almost suffocating. This wasn't him. It couldn't be. The reflection's gaze seemed to pierce right through him, searching for something hidden. He leaned closer to the bathroom mirror, heart pounding against his ribs, knuckles whitening as he gripped the cold porcelain sink for support. The reflection mimicked him, a perfect, terrifying echo, every movement synchronized, every breath matched. Except for the metallic glint in the reflection's eyes, a subtle hum emanating from its barely parted lips, as if it were about to speak. Michael stumbled back, knocking over a bottle of mouthwash, his panic rising as the bottle clattered loudly against the counter. The clatter broke the spell, the reflection reverting to his own familiar features, the strange presence vanishing as quickly as it had appeared. He blinked, chest heaving, trying to rationalize what he'd just seen, his mind racing for a logical explanation. Was it perhaps just a trick of the light? Maybe the flicker of the old bathroom bulb playing games with his tired mind, or maybe a stress-induced hallucination. He'd been working late, barely sleeping, the weight of tomorrow pressing down on him. He chuckled nervously, the sound hollow in the small space, hoping laughter would chase away the lingering dread. But deep down, a seed of unease had been planted, growing roots in the shadows of his mind. This was something different, something wrong. And as Michael left the bathroom, he couldn't shake the feeling that the reflection was still watching, waiting for another chance. Across London, similar scenes unfolded, as if the entire city had been struck by a wave of collective disbelief. Sarah, a young teacher, gasped as her phone screen displayed her future self, her face adorned with intricate tribal tattoos and piercing blue eyes. She blinked, hoping it was a trick of the light, but the image remained, haunting and inexplicably real. John, a struggling musician, recoiled from his reflection in a shop window, his future self a gaunt figure with vacant eyes and wires snaking from beneath his skin. The sight left him breathless, his heart pounding as he stumbled away, unable to shake the vision. The city, once a symphony of routine, descended into chaos. Sirens wailed in the distance, and the familiar rhythm of daily life was shattered by confusion and fear. Social media exploded with blurry images and frantic messages. People shared their stories, desperate to know if others were experiencing the same impossible phenomenon. Hashtags like Future Self, Mirror Mirror, and Glitch in the Matrix trended globally, a digital chorus of fear and bewilderment. The world watched in real time as Londoners tried to make sense of the inexplicable. The initial wave of panic soon gave way to a desperate search for answers. Forums and chat rooms buzzed with theories, and news outlets scrambled to cover the unfolding mystery. Scientists scratched their heads, offering theories ranging from mass hysteria to solar flares. Some speculated about new technology or psychological contagion, but no explanation fit the facts. Religious leaders preached about divine signs and impending judgment. Congregations gathered, seeking comfort and answers in faith as uncertainty gripped the city. But, amidst the speculation and fear, a chilling truth began to emerge. Whispers spread that these visions were more than mere hallucinations. The reflections were not random glitches. They were glimpses into a terrifyingly plausible future, one that now seemed impossible to ignore. The nation huddled around their television screens, a collective breath held hostage by uncertainty. In living rooms, pubs, and quiet bedrooms, people gathered, united by a single thread of anticipation and worry, waiting for answers that seemed just out of reach. The Prime Minister, looking weary but resolute, addressed the nation. His eyes betrayed sleepless nights and the weight of responsibility, yet his posture remained firm, determined to offer guidance in a time of confusion. His words, carefully chosen yet heavy with unspoken implications, echoed the gravity of the situation. Each sentence seemed to hang in the air, as if the very act of speaking them might alter the course of events. He acknowledged the fear, the confusion, the very real possibility that the reflections were indeed a glimpse into the future. The Prime Minister did not shy away from the truth, nor did he offer false comfort. He urged calm, unity, and above all, patience. He reminded everyone that panic would only cloud judgment and hinder the search for understanding. "We are facing an unprecedented situation," he admitted, his voice steady despite the tremor in his hand. The uncertainty was palpable, but so too was his resolve to lead. "But we are a nation known for our resilience, our spirit. In times of crisis," he said, "the true character of a people is revealed," and he believed in the strength of the nation. "We will investigate this phenomenon with every resource at our disposal. Scientists, officials, and experts from every field would be mobilized to seek the truth. We will seek answers, and we will find them. Together, no one would be left to face this alone. Unity would be their greatest weapon." His words, a beacon of hope in the encroaching darkness, did little to quell the growing unease. Yet, for a moment, they offered a fragile sense of direction, a glimmer of hope that not all was lost. For how do you fight a future already reflected in the cold, hard surfaces of the present? The question lingered, unanswered, as the nation braced itself for what was to come. The initial unity the Prime Minister had so carefully tried to foster began to crumble. Divisions always simmering beneath the surface cracked wide open. Those whose reflections hinted at prosperity clung to hope. Their belief in a brighter future solidified. But for others the reflections were a cruel premonition, the homeless man whose reflection remained unchanged, trapped in an endless cycle of poverty, the young couple whose reflection showed them estranged, their faces etched with bitterness and regret. Whispers of doubt mutated into roars of dissent. Conspiracy theories flourished, blaming everything from government experiments gone wrong to alien intervention. The fabric of society, already stretched thin by years of economic uncertainty and social unrest, threatened to unravel completely. The changes, when they came, were subtle at first. There was, a flicker of recognition in a stranger's eyes, the way they unconsciously mirrored the posture of their future selves. A subtle shift in conversation, a preoccupation with the paths laid bare before them. But as days turned into weeks, the reflections began to weave themselves into the very fabric of everyday life. Career paths were re-evaluated, relationships rekindled or severed, all based on the silent pronouncements of the reflective surfaces. The stock market became a chaotic dance of speculation and despair as investors attempted to decipher the economic implications of the reflections. Religious institutions saw a resurgence, filled with those seeking solace or desperately trying to alter their preordained paths. The world was holding its breath, caught in the unsettling in-between of what was and what might be. The burden of foresight, however, proved too heavy for some. Suicides, fueled by despair or the desperate desire to cheat fate, became a grim statistic. Therapists reported a surge in patients grappling with pre-traumatic stress, anxieties rooted not in the past, but in the unsettling certainty of the future. The very foundation of free will seemed to crumble under the weight of preordained destiny. The government, struggling to maintain order, resorted to increasingly drastic measures. Reflection-free zones were established, areas where all reflective surfaces were covered or removed. A black market for anti-reflective coatings thrived, catering to those desperate to escape the gaze of their future selves. But the truth, once glimpsed, proved impossible to erase. Amidst the turmoil, however, there were flickers of something unexpected. Acts of kindness, born from empathy for the future suffering, reflected in a stranger's eyes. Renewed dedication to environmental causes, spurred by glimpses of a world ravaged by climate change. The reflections, for all their unsettling implications, had inadvertently shone a light on the fragility of the present, the interconnectedness of their actions and their consequences. The music John, the struggling artist, played took on a new depth, his melodies infused with the bittersweet longing of a future he wasn't sure he wanted. Sarah, the teacher, found her lessons imbued with a new urgency, her students hanging onto her every word, as if trying to glean hope from her uncertain future. The reflections had, in a strange way, awakened a sense of collective responsibility, a realization that the future, while glimpsed, was not yet set in stone. As months turned into years, a sense of uneasy acceptance settled over the nation. The initial panic subsided, replaced by a quiet determination to navigate this strange new reality. The reflections, once a source of terror, became integrated into everyday life. They were consulted before making major decisions, analyzed for clues on how to avert personal tragedies, or celebrated as affirmations of future happiness. The world had changed. The future, once a distant, abstract concept, was now a tangible presence, reflected in every shiny surface. It was a future that inspired both hope and fear, a constant reminder of the power of choice and the weight of consequence. Standing once again before his bathroom mirror, Michael barely recognized the man staring back. The metallic glint in his eyes had faded, replaced by a weary wisdom. The future, once a source of terror, was now his reality. He had embraced the changes, the good and the bad, and emerged from the crucible of uncertainty forever altered. The reflections, he realized, hadn't changed who they were. They had merely revealed it. They had stripped away the illusion of control, exposing the raw, vulnerable truth of their humanity. And in that truth, in the shared experience of facing their collective future, they had discovered a resilience, a capacity for adaptation that surprised even themselves. The future, once a mirror reflecting their fears, had become a window into the extraordinary potential that lay dormant within them, waiting to be unlocked.